Hi, we are live. I have a special guest who hopefully will be here shortly. But we are going live. Hi, everyone. We'll be talking with Casey McQuiston. Super excited. I am in a different room today because my internet sucks. So hopefully it won't freeze on everyone. Okay, hang on. Let's get Casey. Is this working? Are you there? Hi!
Hi! Oh my god.
How
You look so cute.
Well, I'm wearing this just for you for the I'm color coordinating.
Oh my god. I feel like I'm like falling down on the job now because I was just like, yeah, aliens abducting dog. That seems like a good shirt for today.
No, it's wait, see Jared. He is looking for eye drops because he was outside and he jumped in the pool and he's like, I look ridiculous. So wait till he makes his entrance. How are you?
I'm so good. It's been like kind of a crazy couple of weeks with all of the movie news and everything. And I'm just kind of like riding the wave and having fun.
Yeah.
I've been looking so forward to this. So this is just like it is just I'm very happy to be here.
I'm so excited to see your face and I'm so excited that you have time because I know that you're so busy. I mean, you first of all have another major hit on the New York Times bestseller list, and now with the movie news, which is amazing, and congratulations. We were so excited to I mean, it's in all the trades and everywhere, and we were so excited to see your name, and we're so hey. I always get I know I told you this, but I'm always like,
don't get nervous.
I always get nervous during these things. So forgive me, but so
it's
here's
okay. I'm done. Oh, here we go.
Here we go.
Hey. Hi. I'm sorry. I was in the pool for a hot second. I had a mega pint of chlorine in my eyeballs and was like searching around for eye drops.
Just a nice just full detox of the eyeball. You need to do that once in a while.
Oh my gosh. Good go. Yeah.
A good detox of the eyeball.
And the kids will do the same and they'll be fine. And then I'll do it and I'll be like,
We were just talking about all the great news and stuff with Casey's new movie coming out. And, all the bestsellers and just taking time out of your busy schedule.
No, oh my God. This has been, well, first of all, shout out to you for reaching out early so we had time to get this in the schedule and make this work because would not miss it for the world. Second of all, so happy to be here. Would have moved anything for you. So
I love you.
I think I know that's true because I know from firsthand experience that you would even be willing to dance down a street in Chinatown with Jen.
I did. Well, I feel like my claim to fame is getting Jen. Did you actually do a shot of pickle juice?
Yes, I think and actually we were gonna have some for this conversation, and then both of us were like, I don't know how polished and professional we should be doing this.
Jen was like,
there's no alcohol.
Well, yeah, that was Jen's glorious idea this morning. Was like, hey, we'll do pickle shots, and I was like, well, it's gonna be noon here, and
so what?
They're going to be at 1 p.m. And so, like, I don't know if that's a great idea to start the day with pickle juice. I think we did a good job of removing that entire bar of pickle juice.
Oh yeah, that's the best time. Yes, it's pickle juice.
Yeah.
Yes.
9 to 5 playing in the background. Like,
right.
Sorry, I'm digressing.
No, but I just have to. So, I mean, for everyone following along, they're probably like, "What the hell is going on?" But I sort of stalked poor Casey one day when another amazing writer, Sasha Payton Smith, who wrote Witch-Haven, also wrote an amazing read. So please go pick that book up. It's fantastic. But Sasha was moderating a panel with Casey, and I was like stuck doing kids carpool or doing something, and Casey was doing a panel, and I was so excited to go and watch here in Austin, and I show up like a total asshole. I don't know, like 20 minutes late. Like,
you can't say that on TV.
Well, and I thought
you can't say that on TV.
We're not on TV, so I could do whatever I want. And so I was like, I thought I was just gonna sneak it in the back, but no, like it was in a church, and like I had to walk down the aisle in front of everyone. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm such an asshole.
It was Jen's wedding part 2. She came all the way up the aisle.
Yes, correct.
For what it's worth, I wanted to elope, but that's another story.
Yeah.
But I'm not much.
You can't say that. This is.
I can say whatever I want. But anyways, no, but that panel, I walked away feeling like, and I was telling Casey this, but I walked away feeling so empowered and just full of just, my jaw dropped on the floor. It was the best panel I've ever been to. And I was telling Casey, but just the amount of coolness and confidence, and to watch someone be able to be in their element and be exactly who they are and own who they are. I was in such awe, and I came home and we got to hang out, which was really cool. But I got to come home and just tell Jared just like what it was.
They're amazing.
Just one of the best nights.
And I think I had like been working somehow or another.
Yeah.
And so she comes home and Jen's like, they're amazing. They're gonna come over and hang out. And I'm like, what? Like rubbing the sleep out of my eyes.
Literally, I like woke him up and I was like, Jared, it was the best night. I really
You did wake me up.
I did.
Yeah.
Because I felt like,
why are you waking me up?
because just
They're gonna be here tomorrow. I'm like, that's great.
Yeah,
That's great.
no.
Can I go back to sleep, please?
I was just so excited because first of all, I'm geeking out anyway over your writing, which is fantastic and beautiful, and the stories are really important, which we'll get into, and I'll stop bothering everyone. But just to, see another creative who, I feel like to get in the creative process, you have to.
I took my book jacket
You
off.
gotta take it off, especially for jumping in the pool.
But by the way, like this is the best. I'm so sorry.
I'm sorry. No, I'm like off when I'm
I'm excited.
But
well,
anyways, we'll
and
get into
as you know, we're a little.
My favorite thing about you guys is you guys are so wholeheartedly nerdy about good art.
Yes.
And
Yes.
And it's like sometimes when like people are into books, you don't know if they're like into books or if they're just like into having books.
Well, this sounds like the pot calling the kettle black because you are also nerdy and into art. Look behind you.
Cool books.
Yeah.
Wait, are yours color coordinated?
Yeah, mine are like.
How do you do that? So we have to get into that too, because this is where I don't know how to organize the books, because I feel like if they're color coordinated, I won't be able to find them all. Like I kind of have them.
I remember the color more than I remember the name of the last name of the author or anything, because that's just how my brain works. But for me, it's just like, it's my background of like every Zoom I ever do, and it's the biggest piece of like art you could call in my house. And so it was like, I want to look nice. I want to like looking at it. And so I also have like color coordinated knickknacks. Like I have this little lion puppet that I got from Super Saturday in Chinatown for Lunar New Year. I have up here, and then like my Cafe Du Monde. Anyway,
oh cool.
We're so.
You know
I
what
love.
that seems like to me? It seems like that's some form of organized chaos.
Yeah, it is.
Which is amazing because
I know, it's pretty organized.
From your writing and from knowing you both in Austin and in New York, chaos is something that none of us can avoid. So organizing it in a way, it's like my office is not as organized as where you are right now, but I know where everything is. And it seems like you know where the lion is and where that is, Cafe Du Monde.
I mean, I will say the reason we're not looking at my desk right now or any other part of my apartment right now.
Same. By the way, like this is very strategic.
Yeah, you are unwilling.
I will pull back the curtain 1 second. We've got just like yogurt pretzels, tape gun. I don't even know. Oh my, it's a whole thing. Anyway, I guess we should like talk about books.
I know. I'm
yeah.
sorry. Okay, so let's get into this. So I'm gonna ask you first. I'm gonna start off with the important question. Chloe's favorite smell is cilantro. What's your favorite smell?
Oh, that is such a good question. Nobody's asked me that on tour. Oh my god. Okay, I do love sticking my face in a bag of fresh cilantro. That is a good one. But mine, I like to get it from the store and you put it in the plastic bag and then you just like, I'm literally standing in the produce section like with my face in the bag, and they're probably like, "Do we need to like call?" They're probably like, "Do we need to call someone? Is this person trying to suffocate themselves?" But anyway, I love lavender everything. I've got like lavender set, like little pouches of lavender in like all of my drawers of clothes. If lavender is an option, I'm going for lavender.
What about lilac?
Lilac is like, I love lilac. It's a little too sweet for me sometimes because I love how lavender is like a little more herbal. So lavender, and I also really love, because I'm from Louisiana, I have to say Satsuma. Is
Satsuma?
Like umami?
Okay. I get to talk about a Louisiana thing.
Yes.
It's like these little tiny oranges, and they grow. They used to grow on a tree by my mama and papa's house when I was growing up, and they would all like get really ripe and fall down, and then we'd run over them with our bikes, and all the air would smell like that suba, and it's like this kind of floral citrus smell. Highly recommend.
Is it like a kumquat?
Yeah, it's a lot like a kumquat, like slightly bigger than a kumquat.
Wait, what? It's not the size of the kumquat. It's the smell of the kumquat, correct?
Exactly.
I have to switch out because like last time I saw you guys, I was in the mode of like, let me set Jared up with all the softballs so he could just make all of the inappropriate jokes he wants to make.
Oh yeah.
Now I have to be like.
For those who are watching, Casey and I have inappropriate joke off competitions basically, and they and I kind of like go like, all right, I can make this weird comment.
They kind of
Yep.
each other.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a Southern thing or just a.
Well, you know what's funny is that in your writing, in your book, you approach truth with, caustic is not the right word, but you approach truth with a challenge to truth. And I think a lot of times these days in the general populace, it's more like just stay in your lane and do what you're supposed to do and be who you're supposed to be and what you're supposed to look like and what you're supposed to say. But you through Chloe, through all the characters, but obviously the narrative is through Chloe, you are able to approach finding truth in a way that can be by challenging truth. You know, Chloe initially kind of will opine on a character, so to speak. And then Chloe will kind of come to know them more. And I love that. And I wonder if that's part of, I don't want to say the South because you know, the world's a big place, but there's something that clearly you have found beneficial in learning who you are by being challenged, which is wonderful.
Well, you know, it's interesting. Like when I first sat down to write this book, for people who don't know, I'm from Southern Louisiana and I now live in New York. And most of the people I don't encounter a lot of Southern people here. And I feel like when I sat down to write this book, I originally was like, well, I'll write it from a point of view similar to mine of somebody who grew up in this environment and is kind of finding their way out. And I was like, I feel like that's been done for me. And then B, I don't think that's the point of view that most people are going to approach the book with. Like most people who are going to pick this book are probably going to come in with some preconceived notions of the South and of people who live there.
Right.
And so I kind of wanted to do a character that would be challenging me as a writer and also challenging like the preconceived notions of people who come into the book thinking that, you know, kind of the same way that Chloe thinks that they're better than everyone who they might encounter in Alabama. And in a lot of ways, Chloe is right about some things, but she's also like so wrong about a lot of things too. And I have this like chip on my shoulder about how people who don't know the South talk about the South. And so I think it was just like, I wanted to challenge that. And I wanted to challenge myself to be able to write her point of view in a nuanced way and to make people have some thoughts that they might not have had before about the kind of people around them in the South. Coming from where I come from in Louisiana, there are so many amazing, cool, I mean, like you guys live in Texas and you're amazing. And
You're amazing.
I thank you. And I know, and I'm sure that you know, like there's so many people, there are these pockets and communities and I think even in Texas, I would say probably a majority of the people, even though it's not reflected because of gerrymandering and everything, are people who think the way that we do and have like and are tolerant and are you know, empathetic and a lot more complicated than they might appear if you just take everything at face value from the outside. So I had to learn that. Like, I think growing up in that environment, I rejected everything about it. And then I got out and I kind of looked back and I was like, I'm doing that to myself. You know, I'm rejecting my own background at face value. So it was kind of like Chloe almost has the experience that I had after I got out and like thought I was too good to ever go back, and then realized that like that's actually not really any better than
Yeah.
somebody from California who thinks they know better, you know. So there has to be room. Yeah, I don't know. I just wanted there to be room for.
Yeah. Well, what's wonderful also, I think you don't shy away from having Chloe kind of start out like, okay, Rory is this, and Smith is that,
Yeah.
and Ace is this, and then letting Chloe grow. So you show an entire journey of like, it seems to me like it's more like question what you think you thought was true. You know,
Well,
question what you think.
yeah.
You're saying like you just said how when you got back you realized that hey, that might not be the entire truth. Like, let me look into this
There's
more.
such a great journey, and I also love this idea of like nature and nurture too. There's this great line, I think, where I wrote it down. It's like it when Chloe says on page 200, but it's hard for her to wrap her brain around it sometimes, the idea that for most people from here, the stuff she hears in Bible class is reality. Who would she be if she hadn't been raised by two moms in a small army of gay middle-aged Californians? What if Willow Grove had always been her whole world and the people in charge of it, who left their classroom door unlocked for her and cracked jokes with her like they saw her as a person? Anyways, but just that, you know, she came from one place and had preconceived notions,
Yeah.
had her background, and yet sort of circled back around. I just love, and you know, having kids, like we're having these conversations and they come out who they are and challenge things. And I think it's such a great, I think having the story set in a high school setting is such a great way to explore these things. And
It's so formative.
Yeah.
When someone's that age, it's that kind of point where you're going, well, I'm kind of an individual, but I kind of do what my parents do. So you're forming who you're going to be as an adult, I think, in high school, especially.
Well, it was interesting too because you know, my first two books were adult, and the characters were in their 20s, and this was my first time writing a character earlier in that developmental process. Where I think what's interesting about being a teenager is I do think a lot of teenagers think they know who they are and think they know everything they need to know about the world. It's not until your 20s that you start to realize that you don't know anything. And so it was really fun to go from writing characters who are starting off in that weird nebulous space of trying to figure out who they are to taking this character who is so certain about so many things and has to learn that she has things to learn still. And that was just really fun for me as a writer. It was something I've never gotten to really write before in a book. And just the process of Chloe beginning to unpack her own stuff and see where her own biases were and how there were so many people around her who were like her that she was just choosing not to see. It was really fun to write.
I bet. Well,
no, I was just going to say, I mean, just to further that, like, there are so many great moments where you can see these characters get together in unlikely situations, like in the air ducts or at a party that Chloe would never go to, or, you know, sitting at the car and having these random moments that in a typical high school setting, you don't always get to switch around with these friend groups and to see you know, Chloe discover herself and all the other characters really, because they all get turned on their heads and find themselves. It's so satisfying. And it's really wonderful to watch Chloe go from being like, I know everything, to then really realizing that she has to be vulnerable.
It's wonderful to learn. Like, why not keep learning? I, as far as your writing style, if I may be so bold, I fell in love in the first, I think 3 or 4 pages. with two things. So I don't know if we talked about this when we were with you and Chris in Chinatown and eating food and walking around, but my literary muses, if I were to have any, would be the Bard, obviously, which I love all the references, Theodore Seuss Geisel, and Samuel Clemens. And on page 1, you do something that was so, I mean, I have a Dr. Seuss tattoo, and when you said she's the most boring bore in this entire unbearably boring town, I was like, that's so Seussian. Like I just went nuts.
Kid. That's well spotted. I was a Seuss kid. I'm like 1 millimeter away from getting a Horton Hears a Who tattoo one of these days.
Let's do it.
Did Jared show you his tattoo?
No, I have. Well, I saw some of his tattoos, but I've not seen the Horton tattoo.
I have. Well, this is other places you'll go.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay, amazing. Yeah. Wait, I think it's that actually. I don't know. It's blurry.
Sorry, it's breaking up a little bit. But also on page 4, this made me laugh out loud. Talking about a militia of Shakespeare gays kicking down every door and falls asleep. I was like, it's such a wonderful.
Describe my friends. That's how I would describe my friends. Yeah, I had. There were definitely like a lot of the Shakespeare stuff. I did have to consult some of my friends who are Shakespeare.
Amazing. 12th Night. Oh yeah.
But yeah, no, I love doing like, I would say like some of my most influential writers that I loved growing up that I think really invented my sense of humor and a lot of my voice as a writer would be like Oscar Wilde and Dorothy Parker.
Wow. Yeah.
And they're both really, really like clever, sarcastic, like really into like weird wordplay and like unexpected puns and stuff like that. And I feel like
and taboo language.
Yeah, and I feel like they like. I like to think that they show up in my writing because I would absolutely. Yeah, thank you.
They absolutely do.
Have you read Dorothy?
Of course
I have not.
Really?
No, I haven't. I was like, are you bullshitting right now?
Not at all. And Oscar Wilde as well. But I love it, and they're both similar to like Samuel Clemens or William Shakespeare, where they give you something, and you as well, they give you something that's easily digestible and communicative, but also it challenges you just enough that you have to take a second and question yourself.
Yeah.
So it's not just like, hey, I'm walking down the street. It's, hey, I'm walking down the street and I see a fist fight and I have to make a decision on how I feel about that fist fight. Yeah. And then I see people kissing on a park bench and I have to make a decision. And so I almost feel like, and Jen and I talked about this this morning or last night or whenever, I wonder how you feel about, being in Louisiana. My understanding, I've never lived in Louisiana. I have several friends from Louisiana, but the general consensus is that it leans very right of the political spectrum. It's on the conservative side, maybe not as progressive. And so I wonder if you ever feel like growing up with that that canvas helped you realize like, hey, this isn't my truth. Like it feels like if you grow up in a place where you agree with 80 or 90% of what's going on, it feels almost easier to kind of go with the flow. I'll deal with the 10 or 20%. But if it's 50% or 60% different than the way you experience the world or what your truth is, I wonder if that helps you go like, well, I can say like, hey, this isn't reality. This is not my reality.
Yeah.
I wonder about being a child from the South, how you feel that informed who you are now and who you're becoming. Yeah.
I mean, I think it was interesting because it's kind of like this double-edged thing. Because like this book, if you read it, it's like it's set at a like K through 12 evangelical Christian private school, which is what I attended, and it was so interesting because on the one hand, I went to like the Southern Baptist school, and my family wasn't Southern Baptist. We were Catholic. And so yeah. So like I already had these like, I already had my guard up a little bit, even like kindergarten, because they were saying all these things about Catholics, and I'm like, that doesn't sound right based on what I hear at Mass on Sunday. And so like I was already not bought in, you know, from jump, because I was like, so I heard something different at church, and so it was like, so there was this part of me my whole life before I like had any idea what it was, that just felt so profoundly out of place in that environment, and so deeply not welcomed there. And because of that, like I think it kind of protected me from the Kool-Aid, you know, like I could never, I wasn't able to be like fully indoctrinated. It's sort of like in the book, like Shara's thing that, and this is a little bit of a spoiler, but like Shara's thing that kind of protects her from being like fully indoctrinated by like her parents' religion is that she knows that she is different from what they say that God's plan for her is, but she also knows that she is like, she sees herself as perfect, and she's like, well, if that's wrong, then if you think that's wrong, then you're wrong, because I can't be wrong, you know. So it's like you have to have these little kernels of truth, or even just like something that doesn't jive with what everyone's saying, and you hold on to that, and it kind of protects you from like getting lost in the Kool-Aid, you know. But it was like this double-edged sword, because while it also protected me, like the level of like repression that was involved to keep you from being a target meant that like it took me a long time until like after I graduated high school to even realize like, oh, I'm not straight. Like, what's going on? And so it's like you are able to, it's exactly what you said. Like you are able to be like, oh, I don't really agree with what's going on here, and I'm going to look into this myself. I'm going to do some Googling and find out about evolution and stuff like that. Like, I feel like there's stuff not telling us in science class, you know. I'm like, that doesn't sound right. But at the same time, it also makes it really complicated to start to like really come into your own and like your own identity once you start to just realize what it is. So it's a whole thing, and I feel like that's what this whole book is about, you know, is all of those layers and how it's really complicated. So like,
you need to kind of go through the extremes in order to figure it out, and it's like pinball. You hit all these things and like navigate that. So we talked about upbringing and background and how some of that was woven into the story, but I also want to talk about what are some of the other influences, because there are so many things for me that I was like, oh, it kind of reminds me of Breakfast Club, where you have these, you know, certain archetypes that are kind of like turned on their, you know, like a whole different evolution, where it's like, I don't know, the Breakfast kind of club for our generation. Or, you know, I think I read, and maybe in your blog, about the 7 Husbands of Evelyn.
Yes.
Such a great book. So I mean, there's so many different things that I was like, oh, it kind of reminds me of this or this, but it's so standalone. I want to know, were there certain things that inspired you? And if so, what?
There are so many things. I mean, I feel like I kind of had this moment because I sold this book in like 2018. Like it's which is crazy. It didn't come out until this year, but like that's how publishing works. Sometimes it's like I sold it on proposal.
This before One Last Stop?
Well, no, I sold it on proposal, so I hadn't written it. I had like a paragraph pitch, and I had no idea what direction my career was going to go. I didn't know if my adult romances were going to tank. Like I had no books out yet, and so when I was coming up with the idea for this, I'm like, well, what if this is the only YA I ever get to write? Like, what if nobody wants to give me money to write a YA novel ever again? I want to throw in everything I've ever loved about teen movies, about teen rom-coms, YA contemporary rom-coms, everything. Let's take it all and let's throw it all in there if this is my one shot. So that's why there's like 5 different scenes of a character climbing through another character's bedroom window, because that's like one of my favorite tropes from like late 90s teen rom-coms. I would say I was really influenced by like Jared, just cover your ears, but I was really influenced by Gilmore Girls.
I was
It's a
wondering
good show.
with
Yeah. No, I really influenced by Gilmore Girls. That's why Rory is named Rory. I named Rory after Rory Gilmore.
No, you didn't tell me this.
Yeah,
I didn't know that. I mean, I know the name.
Well,
Obviously,
I
I've seen
threw
it a
in
bunch of
a
times.
lot of Easter eggs. Like Summer is named after Summer from the OC. Like
that.
Georgia is named after Georgia Nicholson from the Georgia Nicholson books.
Ace Nash.
Yeah. So I just I threw in like a lot of like little shout outs, like Rory's last name Heron is a Mean Girls reference. Like I threw in a lot of little shout outs to like my favorite like late 90s, early 2000s media that was really formative for me. So I took all those vibes, I threw them in there. I threw in like 10 Things I Hate About You. I threw in
again, Shakespeare. I mean,
yes,
true. Awesome.
You're making me want to do a Shakespeare retelling now.
Can I be in it? Can you name
Okay.
someone, Jared? That's my only request.
Okay.
You should. That would be amazing.
Yeah. But yeah, so I threw in like everything that I ever loved. And then I also, the kind of genesis of the idea, you mentioned Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I was thinking about that book and Where'd You Go, Bernadette, which are two books that are about these like really cool, enigmatic, central like female characters who like have a whole lot going on under the surface that we don't know about, and you kind of piece it together through stories and articles and archival materials and like scraps that you find along the way. And I love that form of storytelling, and it was really like both of those books were like crack to me. Like I was like I couldn't stop reading. So I had the idea of like, let's take that and do a rom-com with it. How do we do a rom-com with it? We could do like this whole like multiple suitors, who's she gonna end up with type of thing. Honestly, people like comp it to Paper Towns, and I have to be honest, I had never read or had any idea what Paper Towns was about when I came up with the idea for this book. And then I had to read it after, and I was like, oh damn, this is
I know.
I wrote
We
We read that.
yeah, I was like, I wrote Paper Towns. Yeah, I do think that John Green was an influence on it, just in the sense of like, I feel like he and a couple other authors really kind of codified what were the tropes of like mid 2000s YA books, like that sort of this girl who's so beautiful and mysterious, but like secretly she's really troubled and all of that. And like the whole story is about like some dingus guy who like for some reason she likes him even though he has like no personality. And I was like, what if the story was actually about that girl? Like what if that girl gets to like, her story continues after they find her, and she like has agency and she makes choices, and they're bad choices, and we let her make bad choices because teens make bad choices. And so I would say that John Green was an influence in the sense of like, I was trying to subvert some of the tropes that like came from that wave of YA, and kind of flip them on their heads too. So long answer, but those were the influences.
Amazing.
Awesome.
Well, I also touching on like how you've used late 90s, 2000s as influences, and you're gonna write a character about a dingus guy. Please don't name him Dean or Jared, because I know where you live and I will come find you.
Look, I need to say something. Can I say something really controversial, which is that I was not Team Jess on the Gilmore Girls. I did not think he was a very good boyfriend. I'm sorry.
Who did you think was better?
Dean.
Okay,
Logan?
I would rank like Logan, Dean, Jess. I'm
Okay.
sorry.
Logan was kind of a dickhead.
I know. Okay. I don't know. I can't explain it, but I do think that Rory also kind of sucks sometimes. And I think that they were really well matched for each other.
These are things you can say. I cannot say. I cannot give spoilers about Shara. I cannot give spoilers about.
Yeah.
I have only seen just a little bit of Gilmore Girls, and what's funny is that our kids are suddenly like, they have no idea what Jared does for a living half the time, and they think he's like a cop, and
He's
so
cowboy, obviously.
it's so fun. Well, and so now we're like going back, and we were like, he was gone last weekend at the convention. And the kids were on Netflix and saw Gilmore Girls, and I was like, oh, your dad's in that. And so we started watching it, and it was so sweet because, they saw him, and they were like, wait, that's Dad? Why does he think he's so cool? Then they asked me, they're like, how did you get lucky enough to meet that guy? And I was like, oh, thanks. I'm cool too. And I showed a clip of something that I was on, and they're like, can you turn this off? We want to watch Dad. But going back to what you were saying about Rory, like I am excited to rewatch these shows because I feel like at the time they were so like on the cusp, like Sex in the City, and then you watch them now and you're like, wow, that's pretty, like some of these things are a little bit dated, and like pushing that forward, you have to keep pushing that envelope forward and propelling that story forward. And you know, the next generation is going to take your story and push that even farther, you know. So,
Well, I think much like Rory,
what's that?
I would say much like Gilmore Girls, Rory was and remains a very strong character, a character sure of who she is, but willing to grow. And I think what I found with Shara Wheeler was that Chloe specifically was very certain of who she was, and she's learning that she's perfect as who she is, and who she is will change, and that's okay. Not only okay, it's ideal.
And when I say that Rory sucks, that does not mean I don't like her character.
I'm not mad at you.
I mean,
Here's the thing. Chloe sucks sometimes, and Shara makes some very bad decisions.
Sure.
Yeah.
And like that is what I love about it, is like I feel like there's so much policing of how teenage girls can act and how they have to, especially in the South. I feel like there's, in like an evangelical environments, this idea of like, keep sweet, be submissive, don't ruffle any feathers, like just be pretty and like keep your mouth shut and smile. And I love stories where teenage girls get to be terrible and get to make bad decisions and get to, you know, mess up and be selfish or messy or irresponsible. And so like that's why I love Gilmore Girls, because Rory acts like a real teenager, and I don't know, like I love that, and I wanted to, that's some of the energy I wanted to bring to this book, was like I didn't want to write teenage girls who had everything figured out, in the sense of like they do everything right and they never hurt anyone's feelings and they make all the right decisions and no one's ever mad at them and they've never, you know, pushed against anything in their lives. You know, it was so fun writing them. And so like, long live girls who suck.
Well, I mean, but we're
messy.
Suck.
People are messy.
I think that's what's so great about your book, and that's why I particularly was really drawn to it, because the characters aren't perfect and they are making mistakes. And I feel like, you know, we were talking about all the tropes and the archetypes, and
she goes, Chloe is me. Like
a bit. I was like,
she
I
totally
kind
did.
of
I swear to
relate
God.
to Chloe, and he's like, oh my
like,
God.
really? I was like, okay, now I'm learning a little bit more about like what goes on in my wife's head.
Well, because I'm like, I feel like, especially in high school too, and it wasn't a malicious thing, but a lot of who I was, or what informed who I was comparing myself to others. And I felt like we grew up in an environment where it was like girls were against each other as opposed to with each other, and you know, like trying to be the best and instead of embracing each other. And I like that you have both in your book, and I like that it's honest and it's real, and
It's honest.
And we are awful to each other at times. And I think that's important for growth. I also think it's important for, since this is a YA book, I think all of those things are really important. And I wish I had this book when I was younger, because there are so many important topics that are discussed, that are normalized, and, you know, including like awful behavior or sexuality or gender and all of these things that didn't exist when we were in high school. We didn't have the luxury of having such an awesome book like this. So I'm applauding you for that, because I think it's fantastic. I can't wait for my kids to read it. And I also want to know, do you like YA better, or do you like adult better?
Oh, it's so
Which
hard.
is probably hard.
Okay, let me tell you one thing that is cool about YA that like I never thought about some of the things about being a teenager until I was like an adult. Like I live right by a high school now, and every day, like 4 times a day, there's like just like 100 teenagers outside my apartment, just like being teens. And I like one day was walking my dog and like watching all of like the social politics unfold around me, and I had this realization that like when you're a teenager, every day of your life, you go to school and see everyone you know. And as an adult, that literally never happens. You are never in a situation where everyone you know is going to see you at the same time. And I'm like, oh my God, that was so much pressure of like deciding how I was going to look every day because everyone I knew was going to see me. And it's like, you don't realize that as an adult, like you're never going to, like, another thing is the last month of senior year. You know, and that's why like I chose to set the book at the last month of senior year, because there's this atmosphere of like anything could happen. Like there's no consequences for your actions because we're all done. Everybody's like acting on everything that's been pent up for the past 4 years. And there's no equivalent experience in adulthood. And so what's really cool about writing YA is like the stakes are so high and so low at the same time.
Yeah.
Like, the emotional stakes are like up here, but like in terms of like life consequences, they're like way down here most of the time.
But when you're in high school,
you don't realize it yet.
Yeah. But
Well,
it feels like Chloe has this line where she's like, it feels like everything that I'm feeling is the first time anyone in the history of the universe has ever felt it. And like that's what being a teenager feels like. And I'm like, it's so fun to write people who are living in that bizarre stage of life, because it really is intense what kids go through. But you get away with a lot more in adult. Like, I do miss my ability to use more than like 5 to 6 F words in one book. And
how does that work?
well, there's not like like in like a PG movie you get 1 F word. Movie, it's more just like it's kind of like up to your own discretion. But I kind of felt like I was already going to be setting myself up to get banned with a lot of other things going on in this book, so I wasn't trying to give them easy ammunition, you know. But I miss like. I mean, I think adult romance is going to always be kind of my home base. I mean, like, to be quite honest, I miss writing spicy scenes. I miss, like, I just miss the, I don't even know how to put it. There's just something about adult romance that's just so, like, salacious and fun.
Juicy.
And you feel like, you feel like you're getting something, you know. And that's really fun. So it's really hard to say. I like them both for different reasons. And the more I talk, the more I'm like, I really can't decide.
Yeah. Well, so you said you miss it. So does that mean you're writing more YA right now, or what are you writing?
It's so funny that you should mention. So I'm actually starting to work on book 4. And it's so early that I'm still like in the research phase for it. Believe it or not, romance writers do research. And so a lot of this
I'm not going to ask a further question about
no, not that kind
I'm
of
not going to inquire.
Jared, I knew as soon as it was coming out of my mouth, I was like, I put this ball right on the tee.
Yeah, you gave him a soft one.
Well, no, that was a hard one.
Oh God.
Wow.
You went there. Yeah, sorry, that was again too many softballs.
Oh my God.
We don't want to know about any balls right now.
No. So you've been doing research. You've been researching.
Okay. So this book is going to be, without giving too much away, I wanted to do like an enemies to lovers thing in a way I haven't done before. So I'm doing exes to getting back together lovers, and it's going to be set mostly in Europe. And so I'm currently planning a trip to go to Europe to like, I haven't been to any of the countries I want to include. And so I have to like go, I need to go to France.
Is this a write-off, by the way? Do you need people to help?
For legal reasons, I'm not having any fun and I'm only working while I'm there.
Makes sense.
But
Yeah, that's amazing.
Well, if you need any like copywriters or I don't know.
No, you're not going to Europe with Casey.
Okay, but actually,
we have kids. You
might
have to watch them, and I have to watch them.
I might need a companion for the Italy leg. I'm just saying.
I might be signing myself up.
Yeah.
Just let me know. Just
Okay.
I might. I don't know.
You know what's great? Getting back to non-travel, non-balls. Talking about YA and adult. I think what I really gathered from the book was that the YA struggle kind of continues. You know, neither of us are young adults. You know, to some people, but I'll be 40 next month, and Jen's 41, and we have kids.
You're outing my age.
Google also has your age. I'm not outing your age. It's not a secret.
Oh.
But I'm saying we're not the classic audience, but it's about kind of feeling like you're in a place where you know who you are and you must be right with your emotions, but you can still grow, and that's okay. You can be incorrect, and the discovery. So I think it's so important where you placed it, especially that final month of high school, but it's so universal. You know, I think hopefully when I'm 60 years old or 80 years old, I can read a book that goes like, let me question what I think, you know, and let me try and discover who I might be. Yeah. And so I think it goes beyond just YA. Not that YA is a pejorative, but yeah. I think it's, you know, I enjoyed it as much as somebody half my age.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I was hoping for. I think, I don't know, I think that we tend to look at YA as a space for like other people to learn things and not necessarily a space for adults to maybe question something. But a lot of the beliefs that we have and that we hold on to are things that were kind of ingrained in us around that age. I know for me, like this book, if I read it 10 years ago, would have been kind of challenging to me, just in the sense of the anger that I still had about the environment that I was in. And there's a lot more empathy toward people in that environment in this book. And I think it would have been really challenging for me to read because I had not matured out of the anger yet, you know? But like now reading it as an adult, and I imagine reading it as an adult who didn't write it, but came from a similar background, I think it would be, what would be cool about it would be seeing this experience explored from the other side of like, and now we're out of it and we are reflecting and we're extending empathy backward toward our younger selves. Like that was the most healing part of it for me as a writer. And hopefully it's something that inspires people to extend that empathy to their own younger selves. I think adults can learn a lot from YA.
Oh,
yeah.
A ton. I think for me,
we did.
Yeah, we absolutely did. And I think also it's nice reading it because I feel like, you know, what's so funny is that they all seem like they know exactly who they are, which by the end, you know, you get that great payoff of so much self-discovery. But I also feel like as an adult, what's crazy is that the older I get, like, it's weird. I feel like I know who I am so well, but I'm constantly questioning it. Mm-hmm. I'm constantly like, am I doing? Do I feel like that? Like, I feel like our world kind of.
Yeah, like, it's exhausting for me.
All the voices in my head. But anyway, okay. So I know that we're running out of time, so I want to make sure I get more questions in. Okay, Smith, Rory, Shara, and Chloe walk into a bar in college. What do they order? Do they walk into a bar all together? And what do they order?
Oh yeah, I totally see the four of them like hanging out. Yeah. Like in the summers, like when they're all home from college, I feel like they absolutely hang out, but they go like, they don't hang out in Falls Beach. They go like to like Gulf Shores and hang out by the beach. But I feel like Smith would be getting a margarita. Chloe, I feel like goes to college and becomes one of those people who's like, I drink a vodka soda because like she wants to look cool, but like she actually really wants to get like some type of like sex on the beach or something. She's too embarrassed to say. I feel like Shara is gonna be I kind of see her being like a cider girl or like something, yeah, like or she's gonna order like the silly little cocktail that comes with a flower in it. And then Rory definitely like pounds those like PBR absolute bottom of the keg beers.
I love
that's like he's so like trash bag indie boy, like would love to like smoke parliaments for the aesthetic, which is something.
I think Jen's real question was, who is getting the pickle shot?
Yeah.
Who's ordering pickle shots?
No, I think they're doing a round of picklebacks, but I think it's Chloe's.
Picklebacks.
Yeah.
What else was I gonna ask? Oh, Georgia has an emotional support water bottle all the time.
Yes.
What does Casey have?
I also have.
Ah!
This is here. I'll do a quick sticker tour. This
Where's
is my
yours?
water bottle. Louisiana, obviously, Big Bud Press. My friend Sasha, who you know and love, made me get this at Dollywood, Mouth of the South. Yeah, and then this is also for Sasha's book. It's Hexahaven Academy Honor Roll student. It's Okay to Be Soft. A friend of mine designed this and sent it to me. I got my Jane and August sticker, my like Defend New Orleans, do what you wanna. Yeah, so this is my emotional support water bottle. And I also have my dog, but she doesn't want to be in the Instagram. Look, Pepper, come here.
Aww.
Pepper, come here. Come on. Anyway, well, I can answer another one while she's coming. Oh wait, no, she's coming. Come here. Come here. Come here. Okay, she's very sleepy. Come on. She just got a haircut, so her head looks really small.
Hi, Pepper.
Here she is.
Oh my God, Pepper, you are
She's
adorable.
like, I just woke up. Where am I? Why am I
Does
talking?
Pepper know that she's in the beginning of the book? With thank you.
I tried to tell her, but I don't know if she knows. But wait, a really funny story is that so the dedication of the book says to Pepper, my best girl.
Yeah.
And when I was on book tour, my publicist, who is a young woman, was helping me in the line with like taking pictures with readers. And this one person looked at her and he was like, "Oh my God, are you Pepper?" And they thought that like Pepper was my girlfriend and that my publicist was named Pepper. And
no, Pepper has 4 legs and hair all over.
Yeah, I just looked at them and all I could think to say was, Pepper's a dog. Like, all I could think to say.
Amazing. Well, Pepper is a cutie. I didn't know we meet Pepper today.
I know.
We didn't meet Pepper when we were there with y'all in New York.
I know. Next time.
Pepper was famous to me in the dedication. So
yeah, she's very famous.
I
Yeah. All right. Rapid fire ready.
Okay, I know Taco Bell is mentioned a bunch throughout the book, and you've already answered this question with Sasha, so I'm not going to ask what your order would be, but would it be Taco Bell or Whataburger since you're from the South?
Ooh. You know what? When I was in my 20s, I would say Taco Bell every day of the week. But now that I'm older and I live in New York, I don't have access to Whataburger anymore, but I can get Taco Bell whenever I want. Yeah, we don't have Whataburger. We are getting a Cane's, but it's going to be in Times Square.
What?
Oh.
I know.
That was your favorite place to eat
in the curve.
He loved, when we first met, he's like, "Oh, this is where I used to go eat." And it was like Red Lobster.
It was the Red Lobster and Times Square. I would go. I saw a Olsen Twin movie there in like 2002 or something. And my Pepper, who has since passed, her name was Sadie, and we would go there and they would give me like a bag of like 10 or 15 biscuits, and so I'd feed Sadie girl with it, and then I'd get like fettuccine alfredo or something. It was probably 40,000 calories.
Like on a date weekend in New York, when we were first dating. He's like, "Let's go to Red Lobster."
Oh my God! That just as long as it's not the Times Square Olive Garden, which
I don't know
like
I probably have been there. I have a table there if you ever need it. Yeah, breadsticks and roll. Yeah, Red Lobster, Olive Garden. I got you. Okay. You just let me know. I'll make a phone call.
Only the best.
Only the best.
Okay, so I feel like Instagram does this thing where you can't save it after an hour. So we have like, I don't know, a minute left. Is there anything else that you want your readers or the world or anything that you want people to know?
I just would love people to read this book.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I just love, it's Pride Month, and I love getting to write books about queer and trans people being happy and finding love. And the best way that you can make sure that books like that continue to happen is to buy books by queer authors and books about queer characters. So go to your local bookstore, and they probably have a Pride table right now, and just pick up a handful of books. And even if you don't know, you've never heard of them before, I promise at least one of them is good. Yeah. Oh yeah, and buy those too. Those
buy these 3. Get multiple, please.
Oh my God, this was so much fun. I miss you guys.
Miss you
too. We're gonna bug you.
Yeah, please do.
Come back.
Okay, all right. Oh, by the way, how is your chicken?
Which one?
It's better. The stuffed one that has the weird eyes, or
No, the chicken. I mailed you a breakable.
Oh!
5 in 1 piece.
Yes, no, she survived. She's perfect. She's actually right now on my vanity, and I put lipstick in her. I'll take a picture later and I'll post it. So
Okay.
What we're talking about. But first of all, it's my favorite color. That's literally my favorite.
Oh, right. Perfect.
I'm so grateful, and I got the book, which I'm so excited to read. And it was so crazy because they went into Book People yesterday, because we went and picked up a bunch more copies.
Yeah. Oh my God.
I know. Rad.
We picked up a bunch that we're gonna give to friends and stuff too. And anyway, that book that you just, which of course like the name escapes me, was
Yerba Buena.
Yes, was in the bestseller like recommendations and stuff. So I was like, I'm so excited. That's my next read.
Thank you guys so much again.
Are you
Love
kidding?
you, Gracie.
Thank you so much. You're the best.
By the way, I owe you pictures because I have some great pictures of you and Jen walking down the street.
I don't recall those being taken.
That's all right. You can have them in picture form.
As a reminder.
Yeah, we also still have your portable battery pack if you want.
That's yours. I gave it away. Yeah.
Oh,
Because Chris is the small, he had the medium. Yeah. So Okay.
All right.
Use it.
All
that
that reason.
on
We'll
a
figure this.
FaceTime now. Everybody's just on a FaceTime call now. Thank y'all again so much. Just thank you. Thank you for everything.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
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 I don't know how
I don't know how to log out. Wait. Oh, got it. I figured it out.